Hey, what's up, YouTube? Chicago to Atlanta here, giving our preview and predictions for Week 9 of the NFL. Last week was a pretty good week. Pretty, it was an easier week. There was like five gimme matchups in there, but I went 13-2, which is the best I've done all year, and that brings my record overall to 77-44.
And I didn't do as well, but I did 12-3, which is still pretty good, and brings mine to 75-46. So only 2 games back now.
Hey, but I increased that lead. I
Just
got the
wait,
2 game lead
just
on you.
wait for this week.
All right, yeah, and we're gonna go over our picks, and we got some different ones this week. So to start off, we got the 49ers traveling to Arizona on Thursday night.
I think this matchup will be a good matchup for people to actually sit down and watch the 49ers because a lot of people haven't seen the 49ers play because they either have other games going on or it's not on TV. But this will be a good week for people to see how good truly the 49ers are, at least in my opinion. I think they're one of the best teams in the league other than the Patriots. Their defense is locked down. And last week, Tevin Coleman went off for 4 touchdowns. They're going to keep that running game going. They're going to cruise past Arizona. It's going to be a blowout, in my opinion.
Yeah, last week I thought that the 49ers Panthers game was going to be a really good game. It was going to be a close game. And my reasoning was they both got good defenses, and the 49ers defense can limit McCaffrey, and the 49ers offense isn't explosive enough to blow out the Panthers. Well, I was wrong. I mean, they did get help from their defense, but man, Tevin Coleman went off. He had a game. And with that being said, there's not really much to talk about. I got the 49ers winning this one against a Cardinals team that, yeah, they won 3 games straight and lost the game that no one expected them to win against the Saints. Um, yeah, 49ers can arguably be the best team in the NFL. So yeah, there's not really much to talk about unless there's some weird Thursday night craziness that happens. I got the 49ers winning this one. It should be easy.
Yeah, in the last 4 games, they gave up a combined 23 points.
That's
23
insane.
points. They're outscoring their opponents 100 and 111, I believe, to 23 in the last 4 games. That's insane. That might that their defense is legit. That pass rush is insane. With Bosa back there, he's one of the best in the league already.
Yeah, and that defense is young. Just this team in general is young. They're not even paying these guys yet. They're going to be good for 3 to 4 more years before they have to pay them, which is just crazy to think about. Next, we're going to go down to Jacksonville, where the Texans will be visiting the Jaguars. The Texans coming off probably the game of the week last week. There wasn't a whole lot of great games, but not to take anything away, Deshaun Watson had that amazing play where he got kicked in the eye and still threw the touchdown. And the Jaguars came off a pretty dominating win over the Jets. A lot of people took the Jets with the points last week and paid for it because Sam Darnold again didn't show up. So what do you think about this game?
I think this will be an interesting matchup. Two teams that both pretty much need wins in this division, trying to keep up with the Colts who are just finding ways to win. And it's not pretty what the Colts are doing, but they're winning. And so these two teams are going to need to keep up. And they're both in the same scenario. If the Jacksonville Jaguars win, they'll be ahead of the Texans, I believe, in the standings, both being 5-4 if the Jags win. But I think Deshaun Watson's the X factor in this, and he's just too good. He's gonna find a way to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I like the Jags defense, but I don't think it'll be enough to stop the Texans. They're the Texans are playing really well right now. Their offense is clicking. Their defense needs some work, and it doesn't help that JJ Watt's out. But I think it's Jacksonville's offense isn't amazing, so your defense doesn't have to be amazing to stop them.
Yeah, prayers up for JJ Watt, man. He's one of my favorite players in the NFL, and he gets injured. It seems like almost every year. Um, but with that being said, they've made the playoffs without him. But like, can we talk about this AFC South division? Colts 4-4, Texans 5-3, and the Jaguars are what 4-4, and so are the Titans. Like this is a really tight division, and this could be a really serious game in determining how the season ends up.
Yeah, this is going to be a very important game. Yes, I agree. This is one of the tightest divisions in football, but I don't think these teams are championship contenders per se. These teams are middle of the pack to in the NFC. I think they'd be middle of the pack teams, but since they're in the AFC, they're playoff teams. So this is a tight division, but I don't think these teams are really all there yet. The Colts, I think, are the best team in that division because of their defense, but this is an important game, and I got the Texans in this one.
Yeah, I got the Texans too. It'll be a close game. I wouldn't knock anyone for picking the Jaguars in this game, with it being a home game, you can say, in London. But the Jaguars are used to playing in London. That's like they started that in London. So they've been playing there every year ever since it started. I'm not exactly sure when it started, but they're more used to playing there than the Texans. So I think that's an advantage somewhat. But yeah, I still got the Texans winning this game. Deshaun Watson is too much of a playmaker, and he's just explosive. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Next up, we got the Redskins traveling to Buffalo to play the Bills. The Redskins, I didn't really know what to make of their last game against the Vikings because we all know how Kirk Cousins and really the Vikings in general do on prime time. They held them out of the end zone. The Vikings were like 1 for 4 for getting touchdowns in the red zone, held them to field goals for pretty much the whole game. And the Bills came off an embarrassing game against the Eagles. But you can say that the Eagles were the more desperate team in that game, so that could have been the difference. And it was super windy, which affects the passing game, and that's how you beat the Eagles. So that was just kind of thrown out the window. So what do you think about this game?
I like the Bills in this one. Their defense is there, and it's the Redskins. They have not looked amazing all year. They pretty much lost to the Dolphins, but the Dolphins kind of gave that away on purpose, I think. But that's for a different day. But I just think this Redskins team is trying for the rest of the season, and this Bills defense is legit. They looked bad last week, but defenses are gonna wear out when offenses get bunch of chances and your offense can't stay on the field. It wears out defenses, just like we saw with the Bears against the Saints a couple weeks ago. But this is a different team. The defense for the Redskins isn't amazing, and I think Josh Allen can have a good game. He should have had a good game last week. Didn't the win, like you said, but I think the Bills got this. I don't think there's a lot to question here. It's the Bills defense is the X factor.
Yeah, there's no reason the Bills shouldn't win this, and especially being at home, you can't overreact to the Bills losing. Yes, they lost by 18, but the Eagles are still a decent team. I mean, they got all the talent in the world on that team, and yeah, just saying that they have a chance of losing this game, which I guess any team has a chance of losing any given week in the NFL, but like, yeah, you just have to go with the Bills here. You can't really side with the Redskins. The Redskins are kind of throwing in a towel on this season already with their 3 different quarterback situation they have going on there. Next game, we got the Titans going to Carolina to play the Panthers. Like we covered earlier in this video, Kyle Allen got smacked against the 49ers, and it's interesting to point out that if Kyle Allen even had a decent game and kept the game close, he still could have lost the game, but had a good game and kept it close. It would have been really hard to bench him with Cam Newton coming back. There's reports that Cam Newton is healthy now, and after that game, there's been rumors that Cam Newton's going to start.
Yeah, I don't think he starts this week. I heard he's still somewhat banged up and he's still going through the recovery process. I don't think he starts. I don't know how desperate the Panthers are. I don't think they're a playoff team at 4-3 in the heated NFC race when you got 3 teams from the West and 2 teams from the North basically fighting out for 4 spots. For 4 spots. That it's going to be come down to it. So I don't think the Panthers are really in that race. Yes, they could turn it on, but I don't think they're super desperate to bring Cam back this early. And I don't know. I still think Kyle Allen has some stuff he can show, but this Tennessee defense is going to be good. I feel like this is a toss-up game, but I just don't trust the Tennessee quarterback situation. It's so shaky. Tannehill and Mariota probably won't play the rest of the season. And Tannehill, he's a good quarterback, but he's not going to win games for you. He's not going to lose them, but he's not going to win. I think that Panthers defense will have a good bounce back game because when good defenses get rattled like they did against 49ers, good defenses bounce back and have great games. So I think this Panthers defense will have a great game and find a way to win.
Yeah, I'm on your side there. I got the Panthers winning this game. It's I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up to me though. Last week was the first week that Kyle Allen has really played a real defense, and we saw what happened. I know the 49ers aren't just any defense, but the Titans are no joke of a defense either. Probably a top 5, easily top 10, but could be pushing top 5 defenses in the league. And I'm just not sure how he's going to respond. And you got Christian McCaffrey back there. He was pretty much contained all last game except for that 40-yard touchdown after halftime, after the safety. So yeah, honestly, yeah, I don't think Cam Newton's gonna start, but if he does, I would actually have the Titans winning this game. But I'm almost positive that Kyle Allen's gonna start, so I have the Panthers winning, but cautiously. And now let's go to Pittsburgh, where the Colts will visit the Steelers. The Steelers, coming off, like we said, that unimpressive Monday night game, they did come back, but you could say Mason Rudolph was just kind of shaking off the rust after that concussion, and the Colts barely scraping out a win against the offenseless Broncos without Emmanuel Sanders. So, what do you think about these two teams after last week?
Last week, I think it was the bye week that really hurt both teams, honestly. The Steelers looked awful in the first half, giving up 14 straight points to the Dolphins, and then they turned it around. Yes, the Dolphins helped them in that category, but they turned it around and found a way to blow out the Dolphins. But it's the Dolphins. So, like, you should be doing that just in the first place, but it was not pretty in the first half for them. And the Colts, I think they coming off that bye, I feel like that's hurt teams more this season than past years. The Colts just looked so rusty in offense. They did not perform well at all, but the defense looked really good. Yes, it was against Joe Flacco and the Denver Broncos, but that defense looked good. Adam Vinatieri missed an extra point and a field goal, but did save him with a game-winning field goal. But still, that Colts offense needs to turn it around, which I think they will. I think that the Colts will end up winning this game. Their defense is better than the Steelers, and their offenses are very comparable. But I like Jacoby Brissett over Mason Rudolph. Jacoby Brissett doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but he's not going to blow you away. Mason Rudolph made a lot of mistakes against the Dolphins, and it's going to be even worse against the Colts. So I'm going to go with the Colts in this one.
Yeah, I like everything pretty much you just said. And to go along with Jacoby Brissett and how he's not going to lose you games, but he's not going to blow you away. He's got that amazing offensive line to sit behind. It didn't perform as well last game, but the Broncos defense has been improving week after week this year. So, and the Broncos defense, I mean, led by Vic Fangio, you can't knock them for anything.
And Von Miller.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I got the Colts to win and really bounce back from last week because I really don't even know if they should have won last week. Like I was watching that game and I didn't have any confidence in Adam Vinatieri, which is weird to say, but I don't know. The kick ended up pretty much right down the middle, so they escaped with a win. But man, that was a lot more difficult than it needed to be.
Yeah, watching all the kickers miss last week, Eddie Pinero, Matt Bryant, watched those kickers miss a bunch. And then I watched Vinatieri miss twice, and then he clutched up at the end. I was so nervous for them because I had the Colts winning that, and I really wanted them to win. So it had me very nervous. But then he clutched it up right down the middle. But I was nervous.
Yeah, and I bet Steelers fans were nervous at the beginning of that Dolphins game. They're like, and the Boo Birds were coming out
Even
in that stadium.
The bettors were nervous too.
Yeah, exactly. Not the ones who took the Dolphins with the points. They were sitting pretty.
Yeah.
But fun fact, I actually predict the final score of that game perfectly, 27-14.
I was impressed with that.
Yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
You were right on the money with that.
I was, yeah. I don't know if you can bet on that, but if I was, I would have made bank. All right. Yeah, next we got the Lions going to Oakland to play the Raiders. This is the Raiders' first home game since week 3, I believe.
They've had a lot of away games in a row and just have not had home games in a while. And this could be a good game for them because the Lions defense has struggled lately. Everyone thought they had a good defense, including me. I thought they had a good defense, and the past couple weeks have just looked awful on defense, giving up 26, 42, 23, 34, 27, all to decent offenses, but you gave it up to the Giants 26. You gave up 42 to Minnesota and Kirk Cousins, only 23 to Green Bay, which they should have won that game, but that's beside the point. And their defense is just not what it should be. And I think Oakland takes advantage of that and finds a way to win because they're looking really good right now after that. Even though they lost last week, Deshaun Watson played lights out and just could not find a way to lose that game. And that's not Oakland's fault. You can't stop Deshaun Watson once he gets a rhythm. So I think Oakland actually finds a way to win this one at home this week.
Yeah, I got the Raiders winning this week too. And yeah, you said it perfectly. The Lions defense has stopped responding to Matt Patricia, and a little bit of that they did trade away Quandre Diggs last week before last game, so they didn't have him for the Giants game. And he was one of their better safeties, probably their best safety, their second best defensive back, obviously behind Darius Slay. But this crowd in Oakland is going to be loud. They have not seen their team play in a while, and honestly, they have a good shot at the wild card. The AFC is wide open. I don't think they have much of a shot at the division with the Chiefs being in there, obviously, but the Raiders are not a bad team. Their defense obviously needs improvement, but their offense, like John Gruden knows his offense, and I'm impressed with it. They stuck with the Texans throughout the whole way. And yeah, this Lions team is slowly declining throughout the year. So yeah, I got the Raiders winning this one too.
And the Raiders are 3-4 now. If they win this, they'll be 4-4 with 1-2 or 2-1 in division. My bad. They'll be looking really nice, handily in second place in their division, and they'll be right in striking distance to be in a top 6 team in the AFC, with this year being one of the weakest AFC divisions I've seen in a while. Very, very top heavy with the Chiefs and the Patriots, and after that, a lot of question marks everywhere. And so the Raiders could be a playoff team this year, which you would not have guessed at the beginning of the season.
No, not at all. And yeah, like you said, yeah, the AFC playoff race is wide open right now. I mean, there's a shot that you can get an 8-8 record and just sneak into a wild card. And the division record goes a long way. If they go 4-2 and possibly 5-1 in this division, that'll ensure them a spot if they tie with any other teams, unless they lose the head-to-head matchup, of course. But that's if they play the team they're tied with.
Yeah, this Raiders team has shocked a lot of people this year, even though they're still not 500 yet. But the teams they've played are pretty good this year. They've lost to they lost last week to Houston, barely. They lost to Minnesota. They lost to Green Bay and lost to the Chiefs. All those teams are good. Those are some of the best teams in the league.
And they've had a really underappreciated schedule. Like everyone just writes them off saying, "Oh, they're the Raiders." Like, yeah, they're 3-4, but no, they've had a tough schedule.
Yeah, and they beat teams like Denver, Indianapolis, Chicago. Like, those are great wins. Like, they're a good team this year, so don't count them out.
Yeah, definitely a team to watch in the coming weeks. That's for sure. Next up, we got the Buccaneers traveling to Seattle to play the Seahawks. A couple of kind of questionable performances here last week. The Buccaneers lost to the Titans last week, but I feel like they outplayed the Titans by a lot, and it just came down to Winston. I can't talk. Jameis Winston's interceptions again. Like, that's always the story with their team. And the Seahawks got out to that huge early lead against the Falcons and Matt Shaw, but they kind of let him slide back into that game, and it was actually kind of a game at the end. So, what are you thinking about these two teams?
I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are good or that good this year. I don't think they're going to find a way to beat the Seahawks, who played pretty well this year. But Jameis Winston, he almost has as much interceptions as he does touchdowns. 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. You just cannot have that as a quarterback and win games against the Seahawks, who have Russell Wilson, who is the most, who I feel like is the best at keeping teams in games. He's not going to lose you a game. I'll tell you that. He's 17 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. That might be one of the most impressive stat lines this year. He's played lights out. He's an MVP candidate, probably top if you don't include Christian McCaffrey, who had a off-ish week last week, if you could say that, against the second best defense in the league. So it's Russell Wilson leading his team to another victory. Yes, they didn't look amazing last week in the second half, only scoring 3 points against top 5 worst defense in the league, but they also slowed it down and didn't try to push it too much, because that's not the Seahawks style. They like to use the run game with Carson and then use Wilson to lead your team to a win. So give me the Seahawks.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a whole lot to talk about in this game. I like the Seahawks in this game, being home. But with that being said, the Seahawks actually haven't been a home team, like a good home team this year. Both of their losses are at home this year. They're perfect on the road so far. So that's kind of strange with them having one of the best home field advantages in the league. But yeah, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, give me the better quarterback. I think that's really what it comes down to for me. But I don't know. Could the Bucks offense just strike fire and go off for a bunch of points? Yeah, I mean the Seahawks don't have that great of a defense, but I don't know. The Seahawks are going to win more often than not, so give me the Seahawks.
And I'm gonna say it, but the Buccaneers have one of the most underrated offenses in the league. In the last 5 games, they put up 23 against the Titans, who's a good defense, 26 against the Panthers, good defense, 24 against the Saints, good defense, 55 and 31. Those are some impressive numbers against pretty good defenses, and then 55 and 31 are just should pretty much win you games, except the 31 didn't against the Giants. That's the defense fault. But their offense is one of the most underrated in the league, and they never get talked about. So that offense can put up points, but it just won't be enough against the Seahawks team.
Yeah, that's something to point out too. The 23 points. I think that's the most points scored on the Titans this year so far, and 26 against the Panthers. I think that's the most scored on them all year, besides obviously last week's game. And
that was kind of a fluke, but yeah.
Yeah, and well, yeah, exactly. So then, really, and with the Saints, they scored 24 against the Saints. Ever since week 3, the Saints defense had a rough first 3 weeks, but ever since then, they've really picked it up, and that's the most points they've given up in that span. So, yeah, interesting to point out that this Bucs offense is actually pretty good, and I wouldn't say that's surprising because Bruce Arians is an offensive head coach. But yeah, really explosive offense that they have. Next game is the Browns going to Mile High to play the Broncos. We covered the Broncos earlier. They probably should have beaten the Colts, and they let it slip away with Vinatieri hitting that last second, like 54-yard field goal or something like that. And the Browns, they did not play so well against the Patriots. I think the first 4 snaps for the Browns, there's 3 turnovers. So yeah, that kind of described how that game went.
Yeah, this Browns team is not good. They're what you expect from the Browns year in and year out, just with more talent. Nobody came into the season expecting like, oh yeah, the Browns are gonna be 2-5 by week 8, by week 9. No one expected that, but it's just the same old Browns you know and love. Baker Mayfield looking like a Browns quarterback, 6 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I don't even think he has a 50% completion rate, which is awful. And the Broncos defense is looking better and better every week. They have had a tough schedule. Them and the Raiders have had such a tough schedule this year, and they have not looked awful. Their defense has looked like a really good defense. Yes, they give up 30 to the Chiefs. That's because I feel like Patrick Mahomes getting injured helped that. They scored a lot. They gave up a lot of points that game. You can't discount them. It's the Chiefs. But their defenses looked really good, and the Browns aren't going to score a lot of points on them. And so I feel like if the Denver scores 20 points, they'll win this game. I don't think the Browns have enough offense. So give me the Broncos in this one.
Yeah, I really don't know where to go with this game. Uh, I mean, do you know if Baker Mayfield has played in Mile High yet?
I don't believe has.
Okay, so yeah, second year quarterback, first time going to Mile High to play them. Uh, that I I know the stat and I've seen it before, but I just can't remember the specifics. But first quarterbacks going to Mile High for the first time, I think they're almost winless. It's like first or second year quarterbacks going up and playing Bill Belichick. Like they just don't win. But with that being said, I'm going with the Browns in this one. I
Define
don't
the
I don't
odds.
yeah. I don't like I don't like this pick, but I don't know. Interesting that you said defy the odds because ironically that's where Baker Mayfield plays his best when no one really believes in him. I mean, two-time walk-on, got that chip on his shoulder. That's when he performs best. So if he knows that people are thinking this, then he could come out and have a pretty good game. Um, but yeah, I just don't know if the Broncos can get enough offense to win this game. Kind of like last week. I mean, 13 points is not going to win you very many games, and I think they have around that same amount of points this game. So I think the Browns win a really low-scoring game, something like 17-13, 20-17 kind of game.
I could see something like that, but where was Mayfield last week against Defy the Odds? Yeah, this is the Patriots, so it's a little different, but still, he has looked awful this year. One of the worst quarterbacks statistically this year, besides quarterbacks that got benched, which I would not be surprised if he gets benched by the end of the season and doesn't finish out the season. Yes, he's probably their quarterback for the rest of the year. He's the guy they spent a number one draft pick on, who had a really good rookie year, but still 6 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. You can't be having that as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I say bench him.
Yeah. I wouldn't pull the trigger too fast. I mean, he is a number one pick, so bailing on him is a little too fast right now. But I'm not counting this Browns team out to miss the playoffs, or counting them out to make the playoffs, because they have one of the easiest schedules left in the league. They have what they got 9 games left, and I think they can win 7 of them. And getting 9-7, that's a playoff team in the AFC, I think. So the division, I think Ravens are just running away with the division, but I think the Browns are still very much in the race for a wild card, and this is going to be the start of their hot streak. Next game is the Packers traveling to LA to play the Chargers. We all know how the Chargers won last week. I don't think they should have won, but they got the win, broke their dry streak that they're going through, and the Packers stayed hot, won their 4th straight against the Chiefs. Not so impressively though. So how do you see this game playing out?
Packers. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. I
Yep.
mean, it's
Yep.
pretty easy.
That's where I'm at with this. Gonna be more Packers fans in this stadium than Chargers fans. That's just how LA works. The Packers played the Rams last year when the Rams were 7-0. Packers almost pulled that game out, but there was still more Packers fans in that stadium than Rams fans, even though Rams were 7-0 and looking like the future Super Bowl champs. But yeah, Packers basically a home game. I'm getting the better team, the better quarterback, the better offense, better defense. So I don't know if there's much to say.
Yeah, and one thing I do, the Chargers might be the more desperate team this week because they're still a playoff contender because they do have injuries that have been hurting them this year that they're working on getting back in the lineup. But still, the Packers, I feel like, is a must win still. Every game for the Packers this season will be a must win with the Saints and 49ers coming still playing lights out, have a combined 2 losses between those 3 teams. They're all going to be vying for the number one spot in the playoffs and have home field advantage because home field advantage in the playoffs is such a huge thing it might not seem like a lot during the regular season, but once you get to the playoffs, get your fans going in key games, that is such a huge advantage to have. And if the Packers can just find a way to win and be 15-1 by the end of the season, I don't think that'll happen. They have some tough games left, but if they can get to there, that'll be huge because I believe they play the 49ers, so that'll probably be their biggest game, but they need to keep winning. So they're desperate for wins still, in my opinion. So they're gonna come out firing.
Yeah, Packers don't have a cakewalk of a schedule left, that's for sure. And I think even if they go like 13-3, there's a somewhat decent chance that they can go 13-3 and be a 3 seed and not have a bye, which is insane to think about. But with the way the 49ers and Saints are playing, that's not out of the realm of possibility. So the Packers need every win they can get.
Yeah, they're gonna need wins now when their season gets tougher. Get these easy wins. Okay, not easy because the Chargers aren't a cakewalk, but still, this should be an easy win for them, just because how much better they are than the Chargers right now.
Next game we got is the Sunday night game, Patriots going up against the Ravens. And so how do you think that Lamar Jackson is going to face, or how Lamar Jackson is going to do against that Patriots defense?
See, I don't know. He could play really well just because they haven't seen a mobile quarterback like that, and they just haven't seen a legit quarterback like Lamar Jackson is, who it like he's their first legit quarterback, but he's not a passer, which could hurt the Patriots more because they're better in the secondary than they are pass rush. Yes, their pass rush is insanely good too, but the secondary is where they've been getting these teams that can't throw the ball. So this could be an interesting test for the Patriots to see how legit they are, to see how they do against a running quarterback. So this is going to be a close game, but I still think the Patriots are going to end up winning. They're just so good this year. Their defense is just insane. And this potentially could be a game where the Patriots lose, but I think their team is just too good.
Yeah, I got the Patriots winning this game. Um, I'm just going to keep picking them until they lose a game, and then I'll start thinking about how these games will play out because I mean, we don't know how good this defense is. I mean, we know it's historically good right now, but that's because they've played first and second year quarterbacks and backup quarterbacks and bad teams, mostly with bad defenses, except for the Bills and Browns. The Browns have a pretty good defense. So yeah, they're gonna be put to the test, but I believe that they'll still do good. Uh, like I said, this is Lamar Jackson's second year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, he hasn't played Bill Belichick yet, so I think Bill Belichick is gonna have some sort of plan for him, every like he does every week, but a little special game plan for a second year quarterback. And this kicks off a 5 week like hell stretch for the Patriots. They got the Ravens this week. They got a bye next week, so they get a little break. But then they play the Eagles, Cowboys, Texans, and Chiefs 4 weeks in a row. So we'll see how good this Patriots team is
It's
when they play those teams.
it's so sad how that's their toughest stretch of the season, how that's their only tough games of the entire season, except when they play the Bills earlier in the season. It's it's so bad by the NFL for letting that happen. But I mean, for any team to have that easy of a schedule, it's it's tough to compete when you're the other teams in the AFC, when you just see the Patriots go play these easy teams and have cakewalks, it feels like every single week. So this will be a good test for the Patriots, but like it's hard to game plan for Lamar Jackson. Yes, Bill Belichick's the best at game planning for people like this, but still, you can't game plan for Lamar Jackson just like you couldn't when Michael Vick was in the league. You couldn't game plan for these guys because they're so elusive and so quick. You have to put like a kick returner back there at quarterback and just have him run around and see if your defense can keep up with them. It's tough to game plan. So this could be upset win for the Ravens, but give me the Patriots.
And diving into our final game of the week, Monday night, they somehow managed to put another really bad Monday night game. At least we think it'll be a bad game. Dallas versus the New York Football Giants, and yeah, I got the Cowboys winning this one. I don't know if there's a whole lot to talk about. It's a divisional game in prime time, so we never know. But I don't know if I'll even be watching this one. I'm tired of seeing the Giants and the Cowboys on these primetime games, to be honest.
Yeah, it's getting annoying with the Cowboys on. They haven't played like a championship team as everyone thought they were, except for Stephen A. Smith, smart guy with hating Dallas. But this could be an interesting game because I feel like the Giants could come out and put up points. I feel like this could be a one score game by the end of it, and maybe the Giants find a way to win. Because it's just like what I said with Michael Vick. There's no way to game plan for Saquon Barkley. Did you see what he did last week to the Lions defenders? Shook off two and then just pushed one to the ground. That was insane. That might have been the best play of the year so far, just because of the sheer strength he had pushing the Lions defender to the ground like it was nothing. But you do have Zeke. But if the elusiveness and the strength combined with the pass catching ability, Saquon Barkley, best athlete in the league, no doubt about that. It's the toughest player in the league to game plan, except for maybe Lamar Jackson, just because he's so unique. So I do like the Giants, but not enough for them to pick them to win.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page with you there. But so yeah, hopefully we get a good game on a Monday night. I mean, we did have a game this past week for a little bit, but then it kind of got out of hand in the second half. But yeah, so that was our Week 9 preview and predictions. Stay tuned for more videos coming out soon, specifically our Week 9 against the spread and over-under videos. We did pretty good last week, so make sure you give that a look. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos on the channel, and we'll see you all in the next video.